So that's a little bit kind of about Bill Gove. And so where I entered the picture was I was trying to break in this business in 1996 and I was failing. I lost $50,000 my first year trying to break in. It's a very difficult business to break in if you don't know how the business works. It is unlike any business I have ever seen in my life. It's just different. Just very, very few people make it. It's the equivalent of going to Hollywood and saying, here I am. I'm ready to be put in movies. And they say, well, what work have you done? You said, well, not a lot. You know, like I was in the high school play. I played the tomato. Now, I know you're thinking. You're probably thinking, well, a tomato, you just kind of sit there. You're a tomato. How tough can that be? Yeah, but I was like an active tomato. Like I moved around the garden. You know, like I had personality, and I was pretty good. You know, they loved me. I was big at the high school, you know, with the tomato piece. And they go, we'll call you. Don't call us, right? And so that's kind of what it's like when people say, I want to be a paid professional speaker. I want to get paid thousands of dollars to address people, to motivate them, to inspire them, to teach them, to lecture them, to guide them with thought leadership, whatever it is. It's almost the same thing as saying, here I am, Hollywood, here I am. Now, that being said, if you're a famous person, like a former president of the United States, or a Hollywood movie star, or a past senator, or a business billionaire, or someone like that, and the whole world knows you, well, that's different. That's the celebrity business. That's not the business we're in. That's not the business I'm going to be talking to you about today. Okay, and over the course, the outline of this course. That's not it. If you're a celebrity, God bless you, go sell your celebrity. That's what celebrities sell. They sell, look at the celebrity, shake hands, take a picture, that type of thing. And that's fine. That's just a different business. And I'm going to talk with you in this course. This course is about being an average person that goes from nothing, no one knows, to something through a process. And the process I'm going to teach you is the Bill Gove process, the Bill Gove system. What Bill Gove would never have called the Bill Gove system, by the way, Bill called it the system. He had no ego whatsoever. He would never refer to it as the Bill Gove system. I pushed it as the Bill Gove system because it was the Bill Gove system. And Bill said, with accuracy, of course, he said, I'm not the one that created all this. This has been handed down over a period of 100 years, which again, I'll explain to you how that lineage works later because you're going to be part of that lineage now. He said it was passed down over 100 years, but the truth is Bill is the one that brought it to life. And so I called it the Bill Gove system. Bill called it the system, just so you know who this guy was. So going back to my little story. So I lost $50,000 my first year. I was distraught. I didn't know what to do. And one day, this guy named John Spanath, the president of the United States Water Fitness Association, walked into my little office. I didn't know him. He had an office right down the hall in Boynton Beach, Florida. I had a little executive office, like a 10 by 10 office. I was going broke. I lost $50,000. He knocked on my door. I had this little tiny office. And I opened the door and I said, can I help you? He said, hi. He was very cheery. He said, my name's John Spanath. And I suppose John at this time was probably 60 years old, just to give you some context. My name's John Spanath. What's your name? Literally, he was that cheery, like a movie almost. And I was not cheery. I was not in a good mood, right? I'm going broke. I lost $50,000 my first year. I have no direction whatsoever. I was a speech major in college. I'd gone to Toastmasters and Dale Carnegie and every speaking course you can possibly imagine I attended. And I did well in all of them, frankly. And I was still lost $50,000 my first year. Because what most courses teach are not about how to make money as a speaker. They're about speaking only. And there's a system, this system I'm going to teach you, again, that is directed toward getting paid as opposed to just speaking. And there's a big difference. You can go act in plays anywhere in any town in America. You can be in a play. No one's going to pay you to do it. But you can be in a play if you want to be in a play. And you can go speak to groups if you want to for free. As soon as you start getting paid anything, it's a totally different game. So he's all cheery. And he said, what do you do? And I said, I teach mental toughness training. I'm a mental toughness coach. I've worked with professional sports teams and college teams and professional athletes at the very highest level, Olympic athletes. And I told him, so that's what I do. Now I'm trying to take my speaking about this topic of mental toughness. I'm trying to take it to corporations and sell it to sales teams. He goes, wow, that's exciting. No kidding, that's how he sounded. He was a very cheery guy, he still is. And he said, how's it going? And I said, terrible. I'm going broke. And he said, oh, wow, well, I'm sorry to hear that. He said, you know, I'm sure if you hang in there, he's giving me a motivational speech, right? I'm supposed to be the speaker. He says, I'm sure if you hang in there, Steve, you'll come through. And I said, well, I hope so. Guess we'll see what happens. He said, well, nice to meet you. Anyway, see ya. And he went back down the hall, and I said, what the heck was that? What a nice man, but really cheery. Wow. And I went back to my business. I'm calling people, talking on the phone, trying to get something going. About 2 hours later, he pops back into my office, and I'm thinking, wow, we're becoming friends. He said, Steve, I have this idea. He goes, I got a question for you. And I said, what? He said, have you ever heard of this guy named Bill Gove? And I said, Bill Gove, how do you spell it? He said, G-O-V-E. And I said, no. He said, well, he's the father of the professional speaking business that you are trying to break into. He's the father of the industry. And I said, really? And he said, yes. And I said, I've never heard of him. He goes, well, he's pretty old. He's 85 years old, and he's a friend of mine. Would you like to meet him sometime? And it didn't occur to me right away, as dumb as this sounds, but I just said, yeah, that would be great. And I just wasn't really putting it together. And he said, okay, well, let me know. And he went back to his office. And I thought, Bill Gove, Bill G-O-V. And I was just getting online back then, just learning how to, the internet was brand new. And this is 1996. And so that was all brand new. And I just learned to type. I took a typing course in college, which I didn't do well at. And I took a little computer class. I just learned to type. AOL was big then, America Online. And so I was trying to get online. So I got online, and of course there was no Google or anything like that. But I started looking up speakers that were big speakers. And so I found 10 big speakers. People like, the ones I can remember, Ty Boyd, the great Ty Boyd, passed away not too long ago. From Charlotte. Mr. Charlotte, they called Ty Boyd. One of the great speakers in American history, professional speakers. He had a TV show for 25 years called The Dawn Show. He was Mr. Charlotte. Ty Boyd, of course, these people didn't know me. I just knew who they were because I listened to their tapes and their recordings for years. They were heroes of mine. And I found them online because you could do that then. That was just you could do it now, but I mean, that was brand new back then. So anyway, Ty Boyd, Jim Cathcart, Tony Alessandra, Mark Victor Hansen, these people that I just worshiped as speakers, they didn't know me from Adam, but I emailed them. I found their information, and I emailed them, and I said, there were 10 of them. And I said, hey, Dave Yoho was another one, the great Dave Yoho from Virginia. I'm trying to remember all of them. And Jim Tunney, the dean of NFL referees. If you're a football fan, he's the guy that trained all the great NFL referees. He's the hero of that industry. He was another one, Jim Tunney. And Bob Proctor was another. No, I'm sorry, Bob Proctor was not. I take it back. I didn't know Bob Proctor at that point. That's not right. So anyway, it was 10 of them total. I don't remember all 10. But so I typed it in, and then I went and I emailed them, and then I went back to my work, and then at the end of the day, which was like 9 o'clock at night, I went home. And I came back the next day, and I opened my email. And back then, you didn't get like a million emails. That wasn't the way it was. Like if you got an email, you're like, AOL, if you don't remember this, if you're not old enough to remember, would say, you've got mail. And you're like, yes, I'm somebody now. I have mail. I have an email. It's like, because you didn't get spam. I mean, there was no spam back then. You got an email, it was someone that emailed you directly. It was like a real thing, like letters in the mail. The old days of letters. Who writes letters anymore? People don't do that. They write emails. But back then, they didn't even write emails. So anyway, I have 10 emails. And guess who the 10 are from? You can't even make this up. This is like a movie. It's something you see in a movie. The 10 emails are from the 10 speakers who don't know me from Adam. I've never given a paid speech in my life. They don't know who I am. And all 10 emailed me back. That's almost unbelievable. You'd almost have to make that up. but it's true. It actually happened. And so my subject line was something like, who is Bill Gove? Do you know Bill Gove? Question mark. And I think that might have been what got him, because this man was so revered in this industry that I think when you put Bill Gove's, I knew afterwards, when you put Bill Gove's name in a subject line and send it to a speaker, you're going to get a response. That's a really, really big deal. It would be like saying, in the movie industry, if you put Tom Cruise's name in a subject line, you send it to an actor, they're going to read it, I promise you. With the biggest movie star, one of the biggest movie stars in the world. So I started going through these emails, and I couldn't believe it. Literally one after another. Bill Gove is the father of the industry. Without Bill Gove's speech workshop, I would never have been successful as a speaker. Bill Gove is my mentor, my hero, the greatest of all time. One of the ones that I remember very vividly was from Don Hudson. And Don Hudson said, if you were, this is back in 1996, remember, if you were a hockey player and you wanted to be a pro hockey player and you had unlimited resources, you would hire Wayne Gretzky to be your coach. He said, if you wanted to be a professional speaker and get paid and you had unlimited money, you would hire Bill Gove. That's the kind of company this guy's in. And I read him and I read him and I read him like within the first half hour, and I'm like, holy smokes, I just hit the Holy Grail. This is it, my gosh. And I ran out of my office, I went down to John Spano's office and I said, how fast can you get me a meeting with this Bill Gove? He said, let me get him on the phone right now. Like a movie, like I'm in a movie. How did this happen? And he picks up the phone. And he calls him. He didn't get him on the phone live. He got his answer machine. And he said, hey, Bill, it's John Spanish calling. Hey, I've got a friend here. He wants to be in your business. He wants to be a professional speaker. Is there any way we could have lunch together sometime? He's right in the office down the hall from me. Thanks. This is John. Call me back, Bill, whenever you get a chance. Thanks a lot. Hangs up the phone. He says, I'll let you know when he calls. He'll call. And I said, thanks, John. This is unbelievable. And I went back to my office, and I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this is kind of unbelievable. So maybe a few hours later, John comes down. He says, Bill just called. We got a meeting on Tuesday. This is like Thursday before. We got a lunch meeting with him on Tuesday at Mike's. Mike's Restaurant was a place in West Palm Beach that Bill Gove loved to go to. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was just a kind of a sports bar, and he loved that place. And so we're going to Mike's right down the street. You're going to meet Bill Gove. And so I started looking up books by, that Bill Gove was referencing. He goes, anything you have, he'll sign for you. He'll take pictures with you. He's the nicest man in the world. And I thought, I've just won the lottery. How did this happen? How did this happen? He says, have you ever heard of the Bill Gove Speech Workshop? That's his program that he's run. He's trained all these speakers. Any speaker, you name a speaker, they've been through this program. I'm like, I've never heard of it. He said, Bill Gove Speech Workshop. You got to go to that. I said, well, how much does that cost? He goes, I don't have any idea. It's probably not cheap. And I said, well, I don't have much money left. He said, well, let's worry about that later. Meet Bill. Ask any questions you want. He's the nicest guy you ever met in your life. I said, okay.